Hey everyone, this is Maria from telehealthspecialist.com. Today we're going to be talking about using a couple of PDF tools for teletherapy. I will be going over how to use shapes and how to use the sketch tool. So I use the shapes and the sketch tools when I'm working on articulation, on following directions, and targeting function of objects. I have a PDF pulled up, and I'm going to show you exactly how I do this. Okay, so the first tool I want to talk about is actually a magnifying glass, and you access that by clicking on the shapes icons. So here you have a little circle and a square, and when you click on the arrow, it brings down shapes. What I click on is this one on the far right at the very bottom. And that pulls up this magnifying glass. I make that magnifying glass bigger. And I magnify it a little bit more. And then what I do is I actually make my PDF smaller. So I'm going to go ahead and minimize that. So my students see a really tiny picture. And the fun thing is, you can enlarge that magnifying glass and play a detective game. So they would drag their mouse all the way around until they find the pan. And then we would work on saying that word by itself or in a sentence. And so you would just scan down, okay, now it's time to find the piece of cake. And you would find the piece of cake and you would talk about it and you would practice the word piece. And that's how I use the magnifying glass to target articulation. So now we're going to talk about using shapes to target following directions. Okay, so for this activity, we're going to add two shapes. We're going to go ahead and click on our drop-down menu here for shapes. We're going to insert a circle. And we'll make that look a little bit more like a circle and move it all the way up here to our space on the top of the page. And I'm also going to insert a star. And I'll go ahead and move it up here, make it a little bit smaller for you. I want to change the color of one of these. So for the circle, I would like the border to be red. And you would click on this icon. It's a square with a couple of outlines. I'm going to make it red. There we have it. And I want the background to be transparent. So what you do is you select the item you want to modify. You click on this white box, which is currently indicating that the fill color is white. And you would change that to no fill, which is this white square with a diagonal red line. And I want to do the same thing for the star. There we have it. Now we're going to go ahead and copy and paste these shapes multiple times and lay them on top of each other. So we copy, we paste, and then you go ahead and move that circle so that it's directly on top of the other. And then you just keep pasting. And you do that as many times as you want. I generally do about 10 for my activities. I'll do the same thing for the star. Copy, paste, and you line them up. Paste, and you line them up. So now that we have our shapes ready to go, we can start the activity. So if we're working on following one-step directions, I will say something like this. Put the red circle on top of the paint. They would click, they would drag, and they would drop. If I'm working on two-step directions, I might say something like, put a circle on the gloves and a star on the pan. And that's a simple way to target following directions using shapes on a PDF. Okay, so the last thing I want to talk to you about is how to use the sketch tools to work on teaching function of objects. First, I want to show you where to find the sketch tool. You're going to look here on the left side of your screen and you're going to see two icons that look like markers. The one on the left is the sketch tool, and that is the thinner looking marker. The one on the right is the drawing tool. When you select the sketch tool, it turns blue, and that way you know that you are using that tool. So let me show you. We're going to draw a circle and watch what happens. The circle that we drew was corrected, and now it looks like a perfect shape. If we were to choose the drawing tool and we drew a circle, the circle would stay the same. It would not be corrected. So this is personal preference really, but I enjoy using the sketch tool, and my students like looking at their drawings change. So I'm going to delete this circle over here. I'll delete this one as well. I'll switch back to my sketch tool, and I'm going to change the color. I would like for mine to be purple. Let's move that up. So this is what I do. I will tell the student to find an object based on its function. So for example, I will say, find an item that is used for keeping your hands warm. And at that point, I would have told them to circle it. So they're going to go ahead and they're going to circle that item, and it turns into a purple circle. And we'll try it again. Circle an item that is used for writing. And we'll circle that. Circle an item that is used to fasten. We'll circle the pin. Circle an item that is used for putting clothes in when you're going on vacation. We'll circle the suitcase. Okay, so I like to leave these solid color. I do not like to use them as transparent objects. And the reason why is because at the end of my activity, I like to do something fun where I give extra points if the student can remember where an item is located. So I'll say something like, okay, for an extra point, do you remember where the safety pin was? And the student will go ahead and try to think about it, and they'll move the circle out of the way. They've found the safety pin, and they get an extra point. And that's how I use the sketch tool to work on teaching function of objects. In this video, we talked about using PDF tools, specifically the shapes, and the sketch tools to work on articulation, following directions, and function of objects. If you have any topics you would like me to cover in this YouTube channel, please let me know in the comments below. I would love to answer your questions, and I would love to produce videos that are going to be the most helpful to you in your daily practice. Please also subscribe to stay up to date on the latest videos. Thank you so much for watching.